Move over. Morghur's coming to town. You guys are going to have nightmares with that intro, man. Alright, so we are playing as the Morghur of the Shadowgave against the Dark Elves today on Nagaroth. And I'm rocking with a very themey build with Morghur and his Chaos Spawn. Now, the entire crux of the argument here with the Shadowgave is that he is a force of corruption, a force of chaotic mutation wherever he walks. And so, you need to bring Chaos Spawn if you want to rock with this dude. And honestly, Beastmen Chaos Spawn are amongst the most terrifying models in the entirety of this Warhammer trilogy, which is saying a lot. You may notice the faction flags are looking different today. A bit more clean, a bit more pristine, and a whole lot sexier. And that's because I'm using the Immersive Battle Banners mod by Den, and it is seriously amazing work. It looks so much better than vanilla, and it's compatible with replays too, so I'll probably be using it quite a bit going forward. Out on the flank here, Poison Warhounds and some Centaurs with great weapons, which is just an incredibly good combo. Flankers that have a ton of speed, a ton of mobility, and they can beat even like demigriffs in melee when they work in tandem with each other. Fantastic. And that immunity to vigor is so often overlooked. Do not sleep on armor-piercing Centaurs. They can make you pay. But there are Dark Riders out here on my right flank, looking to Vanguard on the side, and some Shades in the front, which can be a great option against Bestigors or some of the other Beastmen units with the Focus Fire and that AP. They can shred through stuff. Now, obviously, a lot of Beastmen units don't have a lot of armor, but Bestigors are a great target for them. And I have brought 2 this game, and you're going to expect a Beastman player to bring Bestigors against the Dark Elves because a lot of them have high armor. Malekith the Witch King is on the field, some Dread Spears in the back, Blackguard and Nagaron out on each flank, and Blackguard Corsairs with their dual-wielding bonus versus infantry. Of course, great cost-effective option against the Children of Chaos. So let's press play and get into the replay. Blackguard are going to be a solid pick against the Beastmen. They're going to perform decently against the 100 armor Bestigors and will slaughter large units like Gorbals and Minotaurs. And I do have 3 Chaos Spawn on the field, so I do have to be careful around them. Reaper Bolt Throwers will put the impetus on me to attack, but I'm playing the Beastmen, and aggressiveness is a hallmark of this faction. So frankly, I don't think you need it in this matchup if you're playing the Dark Elves. It can be pretty hard to make it pay for itself against such a fast and Vanguard-focused faction. Goreherd and Bestigors looking to close into melee combat, and out here on the right flank, Dark Riders have been ambushed by my Chaos Warhounds with poison, and here come the Centaurs with great weapons. This will be a great engagement for me. Poison will slow down and lower the already pretty low armor of the Dark Riders, prevent them from escaping, and Centaurs with their rowdy, immune to vigor, should be able to chase them down and get even this really fast light cavalry unit off the field. Now, the gold chevrons on those Dark Riders will keep them in the fight for much longer than they would normally be able to, but not a good engagement for them whatsoever. But some of my Ungors have already routed those Shades, making their mark here early on, shredding my Bestigors now, doing quite a bit of damage to them. That's a Blade Wind coming down, not a great cash, just clipping the edge of the unit, gonna slice up a few of them, but I'm not even sure it killed any models there. Could have been a better cash. You might want to wait until melee begins in earnest before you decide to plop that down. And I did have another section of Centaurs and Chaos Warhounds with poison out behind the Dark Elves army. So I do have some Vanguard units ready to charge in from behind and maybe shut down those Shades with a Reaper Bolt Thrower. And here comes the melee engagement. Bestigors making it in. And with that support from the Chaos Spawn, I expect that to go pretty nicely for me. Now, out on my left flank behind the Dark Elf army, I have some options here. What I really want to do is have one Centaur unit shut down one Shade, then have the Chaos Warhounds with poison shut down the other. Sweep in from behind, and then get that rear charge off that Hammer and Anvil, and quickly overwhelm, completely destroy the Beastmen. I can do the same, or destroy the Dark Elves, and I can do the exact same over on the other flank now that I've finished off those Dark Riders. And here come the Chaos Spawn, and what has to be one of the most terrifying things you could possibly see, seeing a bunch of sprinting Chaos Spawn coming after you, and their Shades don't want any of this, man. Look at that, they're booking it the hell out of there. They don't want none of that boogeyman action, but too bad. Chaos Spawn just want to spread the love with some Michael Jackson dance moves, styling on them. Not sure if I've ever noticed that spin move when they charge in. That might be the first time I've ever seen that. That's incredibly satisfying. Chaos Warhounds got exactly the engagement they wanted, finishing off those Shades in the back, Centaurs shutting down some more of them, and Shades have a ton of mobility, and they're great against the Beastmen. They can be a fantastic choice because they can actually defend themselves in melee quite well as well, but they're not gonna trade particularly cost effectively against Centaurs, which can just run them down, or Chaos Warhounds with poison, which can imbue that poison and just prevent them from firing at all or ever escaping again. Now you can see here, Dread Spears pushed up the center and actually broke through my line, and I saw my Chaos Spawn were engaging them. And this is something that you got to think about. I don't want to engage Chaos Spawn with Dread Spears. They might even be able to win that, but they would take so many losses, so much damage, so I could just pull back and allow one of my other meat shields to come in and take the engagement first, and then support with the Chaos Spawn. It'll be a much better engagement for me that way. Murderous Prowess has popped. Centaur is charging in, sending those shades flying, preventing them from getting any of their skirmishing done, and another Blade Wind go down, this time much more effective, landing in the middle. My Bestigors should do some decent damage there. But the Blackguard Corsairs are having a tough time. Blackguard of Nagorond are in a decent engagement, though. They can slaughter Gorherd. They can slaughter Chaos Spawn. They're holding the flank down very nicely, and with Murderous Prowess popped, that'll be great for them. But, yeah, you can see here, I waited until the Ungorherd engaged with the Dread Spears, blocked, kind of meat shielded for my Chaos Spawn, and now I can get in, and when they're working together, that kind of amplifies the damage the Chaos Spawn are able to put out, because they're not going to be taking any damage, really, because the Ungors kind of meat shield for them, but then the Chaos Spawn can kind of attack through and get their damage done, and that's a much better engagement for me than it was previously when it was only the Chaos Spawn versus the Dread Spears. So just something you got to think about in terms of unit matchups when you're actually fighting in a battle. If you see an engagement you don't like, pull out and rethink that strategy and put something else in there, and it can really change the outcome for you. So yeah, things are going pretty well for me right now. This is the thing about Beastmen, right? They're lightning fast replays when you play with them. It's just how Beastmen play in general. You really aren't ever going to see these protracted long 1v1s with them because it doesn't fit with their army compositions, generally speaking. They either overwhelm you quickly and make you look foolish, or their initial attack gets rebuffed and they have a very hard time recovering because of their low armor, kind of low HP pools on some units. But either way, there probably won't be much of a skirmish phase or artillery barrage going on. Straight down to business, straight down to manflesh, and that's what we're doing here. I guess elf flesh is a better description of what we're eating now. Centaur's got a great charge into the back of the Blackguard, and the Chaos Spawn overwhelming them. And now the elites, when they're completely isolated like this, we can swarm them, surround them, cut them to pieces, and the Dark Elves will be on the back foot from here on out. Morghur getting in there, spreading some love with his chaotic tendrils and crab claws or whatever the hell is growing out of his arm. Another rear charge. Blackguard should rout very soon. Malekith coming over here to help reinforce, but it doesn't matter. Dark Elves are being slaughtered at this point. And yeah, like I said, this is kind of what the Beastmen are all about, right? They're just about overwhelming their opponent very quickly, right off the bat. Vanguard deploy in the back, shut down their skirmishers, surround them, cut them to pieces, and that's often the outcome. Lightning fast games. And even though they kind of got screwed by being the first DLC when CA was originally testing the waters, they really do feel unique and true to their nature and their lore. Their playstyle does feel unique and really satisfying to me. They do have some weaknesses for sure. Low armor, quite susceptible to morale shocks and terror routing, but a good initial engagement can make all the difference for them. And Morghur with his summons is just such a great way to beef up that front line way. So yeah, Shades were a fine choice for the Dark Elves, but he had way too many of them, I think. Protecting 4 skirmishers against the Cloven Ones is a nightmare. Drop 2 of those, bring a Cauldron of Blood for terror and an extra Blackguard Corsair. He would have been in much better shape. But that battle was super fast, so let's jump into another one. So this time, Morghur and the Shadowgave with his Beastmen against the Empire, and Karl Franz on top, Deathclaw, his Imperial Griffin. No Chaos Spawn in this game. Kind of regret that, but I do have some Minotaurs, which I like even more than Chaos Spawn because they have unique animations in there. Just a bit more satisfying when they get in there with their blood greed. They get to eat a whole lot of man flesh, and this time, not elf flesh, it is truly man flesh we will get to feast on if we manage to pull this one out. Now, Karl Franz doing a bit of scouting. This is on Alpine Ridge, of course, one of my favorite maps from Shogun 2. One of the only ones, I think actually the only map that is from a previous Total War game that made it into Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2. And I love seeing it. It just gives me great flashbacks to some great tournament memories and battles on Shogun 2, which to this day remains one of, if not my favorite Total War games of all time. Definitely competes very closely with the Warhammer series, but right now, doing some scouting with the Chaos Warhounds with poison and the Centaurs with great weapons. The Demigryph Knights coming out of the woods with their halberds, looking to get into some kind of engagement with my Cav. And I don't need to give it to them if I don't want to, but I can think about it. Because like I said, Warhounds and Demigryphs together can hurt a Demigryph very badly. Now let's take a look. Look at that beautiful, beautiful banner for the Empire, for the Flagellants, and for these cults of Sigmar. Now the Free Company Militia coming out of the Empire left flank, hidden in the woods, some Demigryph Knights with halberds, and some Free Company that can provide some melee support. They're quite good, actually, against Morghur and some of the lightly armored stuff for the Beastmen. So they can trade well in melee, but they also have the range capabilities to shoot them down from relatively close range as well. So I think Free Company can actually be a pretty decent choice against the Beastmen because they also have that Vanguard potential. But here come the Demigryphs, and completely misses the charge here. I'm playing against Agony Achilles in this one. Completely prevent those Demis from getting their charge bonus off. They're going after the Centaurs. He lost Micro, and then I charged and countercharged with the Warhounds with Poison. Look at that. Look at those Demigryphs drop. Already down to half HP, and then my Death Sorcerer with the Soul Blight gonna make their weapon damage go down by 25% and lower their armor by 30. And a big AoE coming in with some more Centaurs, some more Poison Warhounds, and a charge from my Chariot. It's going to be a pretty good engagement for me, and that's a Demigryph Knight with Halberd completely gone. Definitely worth it in terms of a trade there. So Morghur and my Beastmen Rush coming in now, getting into the middle of these Flagellants. Bestigors and their AP a little bit wasted against the very low armor of these guys, but should still be able to cleave them in two, and the Beastmen, Minotaurs getting in there as well. Seeing them get into the middle of a bunch of squishy Flagellants, so satisfying. Very good burning head from Achilles there. Actually got 30 or so kills on that Bright Wizard, so Morghur took some serious losses there and is continuously coming through. The Wind Spell do some serious damage. You got to make sure that you are not in a perfectly straight line, or Wind Spells will rip you up in this game. But staggered my line a bit, so they didn't get a massive amount of kills there, but one of my units did take quite a bit of damage. Chaos Spawn summoned behind the Flagellants, and they are unbreakable, so in terms of morale, they'll be able to hold for a long time, but their low armor means that they won't be able to survive for a particularly long time against all this powerful Rush army. And this middle engagement here, with all the infantry going very well, Bestigors and Minotaurs beginning to surround the Demigryphs, with a rear charge coming in with the Poison Warhounds. Those Demigryphs are in a bad spot, in a bad way with some worse people, and those Cowmen should rip them up. Look at that HP just drop. Now, Demigryphs did receive a nerf in Mortal Empires, not a very big one. They have more entities in a unit now, which means that each entity has less HP, so they're worse with Lore of Life and some of those kind of things, but they're still really good. I've just taken some great engagements against them in this battle and kind of shut them down completely. Demis, 1,400, 1,500 gold. You want them to get a lot more done there than they were able to so far. So, yeah, they've kind of gotten slaughtered, both of them off the field now, with the Flagellants without support. Tough fight. Karl Franz did come back from the Beastmen left flank. Now he's hovering over the engagement. But yeah, the Spearmen, Free Company Militia, and the Flagellants just got ripped up. Karl Franz thinking about landing, but that's dangerous when the Shadowgave and all his angry best men are hanging around. Don't know that he wants to get anywhere near that. Now, I think Karl Franz honestly deserves some buffs. Deathclaw is a great mount, but Karl Franz himself doesn't have any regen. Doesn't really, Galmaraz isn't a great weapon choice for him. Honestly, I feel like he does need something that makes him a little bit more impactful. He's not a bad lord. When you've got a Flying Terror lord, when you've got a mount like Deathclaw, you're not going to be an awful choice, but he's just a little bit expensive. Doesn't quite give you the utility or the power that you want from the price you have to pay to get him on the field. So I would like to see some changes there. There's a big Purple Sun Azarius actually in the middle of the Free Company just for fun. Not a ton of damage there, but kind of cut a swath through the middle of that line and did a bit of damage there. Now Deathclaw does come in and land, and this is not something that he can do. Minotaurs and Bestigors surrounding him as the Chaos Warhounds imbue that poison. They did get terror routed, but this will prevent him from charging away, because he'll be, that poison lingers for, I want to say, like 5-8 seconds or something. Not sure exactly, but once you've gotten a poison attack off, it'll make sure that Karl Franz can't really disengage very easily. It's actually a great way for the Beastmen to deal with those terror-causing lords, like a dragon, zombie dragon, or a griffin, or a hippogriff, or whatever. If they ever decide to land, have a Chaos Warhound with poison waiting in your back lines, waiting to imbue that slow on them. And then a lot of times they'll just be completely prevented from taking off again, because Centaurs can close in and keep attacking them. And every time you get attacked, if you're a flyer, you can't take off again. So that's a very important way they can deal with some of those terror-causing flyers that would typically cause them fits. But yeah, pretty much the crux of that little argument there. Poison Warhounds are amazing. Centaurs with great weapons are amazing. They are your option against flying lords for sure. I thought his build was fine, but macro play was a little bit lacking because he kind of tried to spread the field against the Beastmen, which can be very risky because they're faster than you, and they're great at isolating targets, and by spreading the field, he kind of allowed me to isolate his demis and cut them to pieces. So, hope you guys enjoyed that game. Thanks for watching. Indie Pride, signing out for now.